60,000 kilometers above Earth, a multi-million-dollar satellite drifts, completely paralyzed in the freezing dark. Beside it, an identical twin flies in perfect formation, forced to do nothing but watch. These two spacecraft make up the European Space Agency's Proba 3 mission. It launched in December 2024, and for an entire month, half of the mission vanished into complete radio silence. The target of this mission is the solar corona. The corona is the sun's outer atmosphere, a million-kilometer-thick region of highly active plasma that is usually hidden from view by the blinding glare of the sun's surface. Mapping the physical rules of this hidden layer offers deep insights into how our star operates. But capturing that data requires an orbital maneuver so delicate that any mechanical failure guarantees the loss of the mission. Proba 3 relies on two distinct machines. The first is called the occulter. Its only job is to act as an artificial known, deploying a 1.4-meter shield to physically block the bright disk of the sun. The second satellite is the coronagraph. It houses the sensitive cameras, and it has to remain perfectly submerged inside the deep, narrow shadow cast by the occulter. This diagram illustrates the constraint required to make the eclipse happen. The two satellites must fly exactly 150 meters apart. To keep the cameras in the dark, they must hold that gap with an accuracy of 1 single millimeter, sustaining it for 12 hours. A natural total solar eclipse seen from Earth lasts for just a few minutes and only happens rarely. Proba 3 was designed to generate its own eclipses on demand, logging up to 12 hours of observation every week. But this relies entirely on a fragile partnership. If one machine slips out of formation, the shadow moves, the cameras are blinded, and the data collection stops. On February 14th, an unexpected mechanical anomaly struck the coronagraph satellite deep in orbit. The primary failure was a loss of attitude. In orbital mechanics, attitude refers to a spacecraft's orientation relative to an object like the Sun or the Earth. Without its attitude lock, the coronagraph lost its directional alignment and began a chaotic, uncontrolled tumble through the freezing void. This triggered a fatal chain reaction. Because the spacecraft was rotating end over end, its solar panels faced away from the sun, instantly starving the machine of incoming power. The onboard batteries drained completely before the system could even trigger its automated protective safe mode. In a matter of hours, an advanced scientific instrument was reduced to a piece of dead, drifting space debris. Meanwhile, the surviving twin, the occulter, remained fully operational and locked in its orbit. As European Space Agency Director General Josef Aschbacher noted, the occulter's programming meant it was simply forced to continue following and observing its dead partner. Down on Earth, engineers at the ESA ground station in Vilafranca, Spain, were locked out. They endured a full month of complete radio silence, listening to static. The engineering team had to sit back and watch their multi-million-dollar project become a ghost ship, entirely unable to intervene. Then, on March 19th, after 4 weeks of drifting silently in the dark, the situation shifted. This diagram maps the coronagraph's tumbling path. By pure chance, the chaotic geometry of the dead satellite randomly aligned with the sun. Sunlight briefly grazed the frozen solar panel. It wasn't full exposure, but it generated a microscopic fractional watt pulse of power. Amidst the endless telemetry static, the Spanish ground team detected that tiny blip of returning power. They used that razor-thin energy window to force a command connection to the satellite before it tumbled back into darkness. It required threading a needle across 60,000 kilometers of empty space, seizing a fraction of a second of sunlight to wake up a dead machine. Immediately, a flood of telemetry data returned to Earth, confirming the satellite's vital signs, like its internal voltage and temperature. The coronagraph was alive. The team quickly stabilized it into a protective safe mode, keeping its solar panels locked on the sun to slowly warm its frozen circuits. The paralyzed twin waiting in the dark had finally caught the light. Once a satellite loses power and orientation, orbital mechanics dictate it should be lost forever. Proba 3 survived because a random, unpredictable tumble gave an attentive engineering team just enough power to pull their mission back from the void.